Former President Trump sitting with New York State's Attorney General for a deposition. Part of the investigation into his business and what happened in there was a first.
That's right. He sat down, but he didn't answer any questions. Took the fifth about 400 times. Just one of several investigations targeting the former president. Comes 2 days, of course, after the FBI searched his home. Chief Washington correspondent John Carl starts us off. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. In that appearance before New York's Attorney General, Donald Trump became the first former president in American history to take the fifth.
How do you feel, Mr. Trump?
When Donald Trump sat down in the New York Attorney General's office for a sworn deposition, he answered only a single question: what is your name? The former president invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination for every other question, according to a source familiar with the deposition. Before the question started, Trump began by reading an opening statement where he harshly criticized New York Attorney General Letitia James as she sat right across the table from him, calling her a failed politician and accusing her of trying to, quote, destroy Trump. The deposition, which went on for 6 hours with breaks and was videotaped, was part of a civil case accusing the Trump family business of misrepresenting the values of its properties to get more favorable loans and pay less in taxes. Trump and his company have long denied wrongdoing. Despite Trump's attacks on the AG in his opening statement, after the deposition was over, he and his lawyer called it, quote, very professional. For years, Trump has railed against people who take the fifth.
You see, the mob takes the fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Horrible. Horrible.
In a statement, he claimed he had no choice but to take the fifth now, especially after the FBI raid on his Florida residence Monday. But the Mar-a-Lago raid had nothing to do with Wednesday's deposition. Law enforcement sources say the FBI search of his Palm Beach home was related to documents, some of them classified, that Trump allegedly took improperly from the White House. In his first appearance since the raid, FBI Director Christopher Wray was asked for details on the search.
That's not something that I can talk about, so I'd refer you to the department.
Trump faces multiple investigations in multiple venues. In addition to the New York AG investigation and the federal probe into his alleged mishandling of classified information, there's also the DOJ and congressional investigations into January 6th and a criminal investigation in Georgia of his efforts to pressure officials there to, quote, find enough votes to overturn the election results. Republicans are demanding that the Justice Department come out and publicly explain what was going on with the raid, what they are investigating. The department is standing by its long-standing policy of not commenting on current investigations. Donald Trump, however, does have a copy of the search warrant, according to one of his lawyers. That warrant would explain, at least in some detail, what they were looking for and what they took. But George, Donald Trump has not released that and has resisted all calls for him to make that warrant public.
Of course, he could release it if he wanted to. John Carl, thanks very much. It's been our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So this is the second time this week you're coming on with something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, we've never seen a former president take the Fifth Amendment. But I have to say, in this context, just as a legal matter, it's not that surprising, right? Because you have a Manhattan DA who is claiming that there is still an open investigation into Donald Trump. Remember, you had 2 Manhattan DAs leave the office after no indictment was brought against Donald Trump, and the DA, Alvin Bragg, claiming that there's still an open investigation. So if there isn't an open investigation in Manhattan, criminal, you can understand why anyone in his position would say, well, I have to be careful here because I could incriminate
And of
myself.
course, there's precedent here. His son, Eric Trump, in this same case, took the fifth, I think, about 500 times.
Right.
2 years ago.
And while a couple of his other kids did testify.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in a criminal case, legal theory says this taking the fifth isn't supposed to work against you. Not the same in a civil case like this.
Just the opposite, actually. You can actually use that against the person in the context of the civil case. So the Attorney General may be able to use that against him in any case that might be brought.
Lots of clamoring to see this search warrant. Are we going to see it?
I don't think so. The search warrant itself could leak. The real information is in the affidavit that was presented to back up why they needed the search warrant. There's now a hearing that's going to be held. The government has to come back by the 15th of August and respond to that and say why it shouldn't be released. It's unlikely it'll be released. This stuff typically doesn't get released in the context of an ongoing investigation.
And the former president won't release it.
And won't release the search warrant part, right? That would just have more limited information. That would just say potentially what the crime was, what they were looking for, et cetera. The affidavit would have all the reasoning. So that has a lot more information than the warrant itself.
You're not just a legal analyst, you're something of a political analyst as well. Not only is this the first time it's ever happened to a former president, happening against a former president who's still contemplating quite actively running for president again.
Well, yes, but there's an argument to be made this is all very good for him politically. I mean, he's fundraising off of this. There's a lot of support suddenly behind him. There's an enormous amount of talk about Ron DeSantis up till now, and now it's all the Republican Party coalescing around Donald Trump.
Good for him until it's not, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.